Hi Silem stars, you're welcome back to my channel. Silem here. In today's video guys, I'm going to show you how to make an overbust corset with Queen Anne neckline. It's also going to have a basque waistline. So if you want to see how to make this, definitely keep on watching.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
In my last video, I taught you how to draft this overbust corset from start to finish. So if you haven't seen the drafting tutorial, please check it out. I'm going to leave the link to the tutorial in the pinned comment down below. Now for the fabric pieces, I fused the pieces with hairstay only. I did not fuse it with anything else, just hairstay. And then I'm placing them right sides facing and joining them together with half-inch seam allowance. But for the fabric, I fused it with hairstay and breast pad. You have to use breast pad so that it's strong enough to, take the boning for the bust caging. Okay. Then I'm just going to place the pieces right sides facing and I'm going to join them with half-inch seam allowance. Just the same way you would join a regular bustier. Now for the back pieces, I fused the fabric piece with hairstay, but for the lining piece, I did not fuse it at all. Now I'm just placing the pieces right sides facing, and I'm going to join them at the neckline and by the sides. I'll do that for both pieces. Then I'm going to turn it to the right side and give it a good press. This is what the fabric piece for the front looks like. Okay, and this is what the lining piece for the front looks like. So now we're going to flip it to the wrong side so that we can mark the lines for our bust caging. Now one of the lines is going to be right at the center, so one of the bonings is going to be sewn right at that center there. I'm also going to sew two bonings on those same lines, and then one is going to go around that, the outline of that breast pad. Now when you're attaching your boning, pay attention to the way your boning curves. As you can see, my boning is curving upwards, and that is the same direction that my bustier is curving. So just place your boning that way and then just sew it down. When you're joining your boning, make sure that you leave about half an inch from the top, okay, when you're joining your boning. All right, now for the Queen Anne neckline yoke, I fused the fabric piece with hairstay, but for the lining I did not fuse it at all. I'm placing both pieces right sides facing like so, and then I'm just going to join them on one side, okay, not the side where you have the armhole, the side that's a bit straight. I'll just join it with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. After joining it and turning it to the right side, this is what we have. So I'm going to open it up so you see how I joined it. Okay, so I joined it like this, as you can see. Then I flipped it and then I gave it a good press on the right side. So this is what it looks like. Very neat. So we'll just keep this aside so we can continue with our piece. Now this is what the bust caging looks like once I've inserted the bonings to it, the Reggiline boning. This is the sewable boning. I added an extra boning right at the center, so right across at the center there. So you can add more bonings if you're bustier, but for my client this works great. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place the fiber. This is a 1/2 inch wide fiber. I'll just place it and pin it to the piece. And after placing it, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off the excess. And then I'll turn it to the right side and then use the outline of the bust caging I have to sew the fiber in place. Make sure you're sewing the fiber from the right side, okay? And then all you have to do now is just trim off any excess that you have. After trimming off the excess, this is what we have. Can you see how neat it is? So the bust area is going to be well supported with this bust caging. Now on the fabric piece, I'm going to mark my boning channels so you can decide, the style lines that you want for your boning channels. If you want it to be straight, you can have that. If you want it to be slanted, you can have that. Just make sure that you have a boning channel that is right at the center, and then the channels by the side, that's the left and the right, make sure that they are equal on both sides. So if you mark 3 inches down, make sure that it on the make sure you mark the same 3 inches on the other side. So if you mark 3 inches down on the left side, make sure it's the same on the right side. So after marking my boning channels, I've just cut a 1.5 inch wide piece. I'm going to use this now to wrap my line boning. So I've just placed my boning inside and I sewed right at the side. Okay, and then now I'm just cutting off the excess after sewing, the piece with the boning inside. After cutting off the excess, this is what we have. Now this allowance is by the side. You're going to just move the allowance to the center. So just move the allowance to the center by just using your fingers to push the fabric gently. And can you see now that the allowance is now at the center? So we can now place our boning and sew on both sides because the allowance now is now hidden under. Okay, so just place the boning channel and sew it down. Make sure to pay attention to the curve of the boning when you're attaching this, just the same way you did for the bust caging. Your bone should be curving upwards just like your bustier is curving upwards. So just place your boning and just sew it from top to bottom. So after joining it, this is what we have here. So you really want to give this a very, very good press. Okay, in order to have extra support, I added 3 bonings to the lining piece, okay? Just so that that waist area has a lot of structure. So now it's time for us to add the Queen Anne neckline yoke to this. So from that seam line, you still know where the seam line is because of the boning there. I just went out towards the side by 1/2 inch, and then at that point I placed the yoke there and then I pinned it in place. So just make sure you pin it all the way. And after pinning it, I'm going to do the same thing now for the other side. Okay, so just see where you have that seam, go out by 1/2 inch, and then just pin your piece in place. And I'm just going to sew the yoke to the piece with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, and this is what you're going to have once you've sewn it in place. So as you can see now, I'm done sewing the piece. I'm just going to bring down that yoke and then place the lining right sides facing with the fabric like so. Then I'm going to go ahead and sew the top with 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can actually use 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? Then I'm also going to sew the sides. I'll turn this now to the right side, and this is what you're going to have. Obviously, give it a very, very good press. When it comes to sewing this, you really, really want to work with your tailor's ham, that's your bust ham, and your iron very well, just to smoothen out any folds. But then this is basically what we have here. I'm just going to attach it to my skirt to make a dress. I'm also going to shape in the sides of the front and the back so that it's one piece. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I also have a corset online class that you can register for, so simply just check the pinned comments for all the details that you need. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.